You're listening to the Potaholics Comedy Network. Potaholics.com.
You're great.
You're great.
You're great.
You're great. Hey, Derek. You're
Are we going to have nicknames for each other each episode?
You're
I think
great.
we should.
You're great.
I'm Underboob. That's the original. That's the OG. So you're Nev Nips, I'm Underboob.
Oh, wait, let's not give away the studio production value we have here.
It's pretty low.
You're probably going to sing anyway, so you might as well just use
That's
the
a good point.
And you're great.
You're great.
You're great.
You're great.
You're great.
You're
Do
great.
you want to drink your sparkling water?
Yeah, I do. You're great.
Because it's great. You know who else is great?
John Michael Bond.
Hell yes.
How are you?
I'm fabulous.
Oh, perfect.
I like that little love off
I
that
like
started
it.
this.
You're great, John.
That makes me feel really happy. This
Do you
is
like-
a good environment.
You like it? Do you like John or John Michael?
I don't really have a
You have a
preference at all. When I was a little kid, my mom told me that it was hyphenated. And then when I was 18, I registered to vote for the first time. And then my voter registration was denied because I used a fake name. Because I said that my name was John Michael. And they were like, your middle name is actually Michael.
Oh.
And I
So
asked
your
my
mother
mom.
lied to you?
Yeah, I was just like, what the fuck? And she's like, well, I wanted people to call you John Michael. And I was like, you literally had the
I was
opportunity.
like, yeah, that would have been your choice.
Your
Yeah.
first act with me was naming me. And then you're like, let's just lie to him his whole life and say there's a hyphen.
That's great.
So yeah,
amazing.
I don't have like a strong preference to my name. I'm
That's
just kind of,
interesting. Well,
I find that people who call me John tend to end up being more serious relationships.
See, and I was like, I've always heard people call
good to
you
know.
Not like
your
lovers or
full-
something. but like-
no, it's just like those are actual people who know you.
You see, John, I have only heard people ever call you John Michael Bond. Like, all your whole name
That
so
is-
fast.
Really, it's only with comedy, I think.
Really?
It's comedy and social work. When I did I used to be a social worker, and when I did that, community leaders would always introduce me to children because I worked in children's public health. They would always introduce me to children as like, this is John Michael Bond, and every time they would say John Michael Bond.
The whole thing.
And in comedy, people say John Michael Bond. Everywhere else, people usually just say John Michael
I love it.
or John if they're like are looking me really deeply in the eyes.
John.
My dad's the only one who calls me Michael.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I have no idea. He used to call me J and B. So
That's funny. When I had a friend whose name was Madison,
yeah.
and we all called her Maddie, but her parents called her Madeline, even though they named her Madison.
Really?
Super weird. I was like, what?
That is interesting.
I feel like most parents
Maybe they just took it back. Like, they were
most
like,
parents
"Yeah,
want to
we
admit
should've."
that they made a mistake.
Yeah.
You find out like the kid's 6 and he's actually a Josh instead of a Ruth.
Yeah.
My brother's name
Should've gone with
my
Josh.
brother's name is Frank, and they'll sometimes go Franklin, and his name is not Franklin. It's just Frank.
They're just trying to add gravitas to
yeah,
it.
I'm just
that's
trying
nice.
to make him
Use
sound
your
like
full name.
like he's in trouble. So,
That's great.
do you have any shows
Well,
you want to plug coming up, Monica?
Welcome to the Hug Life podcast.
Oh, I guess that's true.
I'm Mike Coletta.
And I'm Monica Nevi, and this is our podcast
Yes,
about
we-
magic and friendship.
We have
and-
a special guest, John Michael Bond, or
Mhm.
John, or Michael if you're his dad.
yeah.
Hey, y'all.
If you're John's dad, make sure to call him Michael.
Yes.
Yeah,
of course I have.
okay, tell me where you're at.
Okay, this week, the 21st, I'm in good health in Kirkland, Washington. I'll be home back in Washington. 22nd, Flood Valley Brewing in Chehalis. And the 26th, I'm at Billy McHale's in Federal Way.
Billy McHale's?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that was my brother and I's favorite lunch spot. They have like yeast rolls with honey butter.
And now they got Monica.
And now they have Monica. You should
Also known as a yeast roll.
Will you take a picture of the rolls when you go there and send it to me?
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm just the sweetest boy in the world. You could give me some Polaroid and piping hot bread.
Yeah, that's all I need. Just show me them carbs.
Show me that card.
If you want to see me, I'm just in LA, but I added dates to my website, colettacomedy.com, if you want to see where I'm at in 2018.
Ooh.
John, do you have any dates you want to plug?
I found it. I'm auditioning for America's Got Talent next Wednesday.
Ooh, where's that at?
Yay.
Flappers, so I'm not getting it. And
Everybody, think good thoughts for John.
and then I'm doing set list at the Pack Theater on the 21st. If you want to hear me go on stage and talk without written premises,
Yeah,
it'll
it's
be
a fun.
exactly
Ooh.
the same as when I normally do stand up. And then I'm going home for the holidays, and my local club in Chattanooga does not like me, so I'm not doing shit.
How dare they?
but hopefully one day they will.
Get your shit together.
And then I'm going to Denver for like 14 days in January.
Oh, that'll be fun.
That'll be awesome.
Oh man, it was like a round trip ticket was $117.
What?
And then I have shows every night, and like a couple of them pay enough that I already have like my lodging and my airfare taken care of.
That's awesome.
We
that'd be
love
fun.
Denver.
Yeah, Denver's great.
Denver's the
Hello,
best.
ladies.
Yeah, like if I was gonna write erotica about road gigs, it would just be Denver.
Yeah,
Just
for
like
sure.
I showed up and everyone was really nice and I was taken care of, and then I slept in a comfortable bed.
And the show was fun.
Everyone respected the boundaries of my relationship, and I got high. It's real sexy.
It's
That
super
actually
sexy.
sounds really good. I
That
was
is
like,
super
stop.
sexy to me.
Stop.
Also, other things about the podcast. If you want to rate and review and subscribe to us on iTunes, you'd be a
Yes.
gem. Also, if you go to monicanevi.com, click on the Amazon banner, you get a little something, something.
Yeah, and you can buy a gift for your loved ones.
Also, I
Buy
have
a cat sweater.
Oh, you have a podcast.
I have a
That's amazing.
podcast
I listen to it every week.
with Amy Miller and Steve Hernandez.
Who's your God?
Who's your God?
Love
Yeah.
that podcast.
I love it. If you want to hear comedians really desperately try not to say they believe in God, listen to us. And
I really
or listen to them talk.
I love your. You know what I love
General.
about your podcast? You ready to jump into the compliment corner?
Hit me.
Here we go. I love that I don't know a lot of the guests on it, and I still like feel like I get to know them every time. You know what I mean?
It's a pretty intimate thing to talk about.
and I love it. I love it so
Yeah.
much.
I really like it because I like serious discussions, but there's almost nothing worse in the world in 2017, soon to be 2018, than listening to comedians talk about comedy.
Oh god,
yeah,
Like, it's just
the worst.
No.
Did you know it's hard for a really long time?
Yeah.
Did you know
I
we're
felt-
all sad and no one knows what they're doing? Yeah.
I felt really lonely until I was funny enough. People wanted to talk to me. But like it's nice because you get to have like really in-depth kind of like personal discussions about people that almost never end up being about comedy.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. It's also like we had my favorite one. If you're gonna just listen to one episode, listen to the one with Grant Lyon because he like
love Grant Lyon.
he
Grant
grew up a
Lyon's
Christian
the best.
Scientist, and holy shit, is it the most interesting religion?
Yeah.
Where he's like, I mean, like. Technically, you could go to the doctor, but like you would have to be telling God you believe that sickness exists and isn't just your own spiritual weakness. And I'm just like, what the fuck? How did you?
Oh yeah.
How did you out loony the Baptists?
Dude,
Like,
it's crazy. Because I met Grant in Washington, and he was super great, and I was on the edge of my seat for that whole thing because I was like, because he kind of explained bits and pieces of it to me when we were like in green rooms and stuff hanging out.
Yeah.
But you guys went right into it. And I loved it.
It's one of my favorite things that we've like I've gotten to do since I moved to California. Like this, I moved to LA because my wife got a job. Like I like telling jokes. I don't need to be here to
Yeah.
do that.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
I'm the only person to move to Los Angeles to save a marriage. But
Not ruining.
but like that made everything better. That's like every week I know I can go have like a cool conversation. Even if I don't know the guests, I always end up having the most fun time.
And
That's awesome.
you get to hang out with Meeps too.
Yeah.
Which is
Hell yeah, Meeps.
I mean, I just met
Does she not like
Brimley
together?
Yeah.
and Dahlia.
They're good cats.
And they're good cats, and they're definitely in the top 5 now. But Meeps has been in the top 5 for a long
Yeah,
time.
but-
LA cats.
I mean,
I bet
like,
like
just
cats, yeah.
talking shit to Amy Miller for a moment because she's a great cat named Meeps. My cats have never scratched anybody. So,
Did Meeps
oh,
scratch
Meeps will-
somebody?
Meep will
is
fuck somebody
sassy.
up.
Remember, we were there
yeah.
on the podcast with Amy, and she Meeps kept just walking over the microphones and just standing in
See,
the way.
yeah,
I-
like
Very
I'm
sassy.
tight with Meeps, and I get scratched probably like twice a month.
I am
bitch.
virgin. I house sat for them when her and her wonderful boyfriend were out of town, and I was like falling asleep, and Meeps, was definitely acting like kind of a butt.
He's a keyboard stepper. Sorry, I was
He's a keyboard stepper. Oh, it's okay.
not a lot, but
I love
the
cats.
best looking
I
cat
don't
I've
meet
ever
a lot
seen.
of cats that are keyboard steppers too, which is nice.
well, yeah, he's also my
I've
cat
met a
Brimley is
few.
a diva piece of shit. Where he's just like, oh, is this your? I moved to a desktop computer instead of a laptop because I figured it out between
Just because of the keyboard stepping?
that. Well, also the amount of weed that I smoke, I don't need to also have like a radiation battery on my lap all the time if I ever
Right.
want to have kids.
Yeah,
like
yeah, that's a
I
fair.
write for 6 hours a day on a laptop for work before I do any like comedy shit. So like it made sense to move to a desktop. And he used to just sit on my laptop because he wanted to sit on my lap. And now I think maybe he mistook keyboards for laps because he'll just he'll sit on my keyboard while I'm typing and then just stare at me like, what the fuck is wrong with you? I
love it.
He's a great little monster.
Great
He's
little
going to get
monster.
thrown out of a window.
And he looks so
sometimes.
angry.
He's
I
just
love
staring
it.
at the wall right now. It's kind of scary. Okay. What else? Patreon.
Yeah, we have a Patreon page now, and we have some donors.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
I was gonna lexically embrace
Yeah,
them.
can you?
if we
We can
but
wait to hold off on that. I gotta
Yeah.
do another thing.
Mhm.
We just recently got a new logo, and it's really amazing, and I really like it. And it was done by Danny Dodge at Studio Dodge. And right now, if you go to studiododge.com and use the offer code HUGLIFE, you can get 15% off anything in her store. Also, in December, there's just this random regular special going on watercolor commissions. So. And it's studiododge.com. It's at Studio Dodge on Instagram, Facebook Studio Dodge, and just follow her and look at her stuff.
Yeah.
And be nice.
She's
And
great.
She's wonderful, and we love her so much.
Okay.
That was all the plugs
Lexical Embraces.
Lexical
I
Embraces.
only have them from Patreon. So
from Patreon.
yeah. Well, we got 2 new donors.
Okay.
Susie and Joseph. Thank you.
Thank you so much for
Great.
donating
But
to the
also, I wanted
podcast.
to say, Tim, who had already donated, he used the full capacity of the thing. You can comment on that page, or you can email us or whatever. So something wrong with the podcast, or you have a question, or you just want to say, hey, whatever. So we commented about the podcast, and we fixed something because he commented,
Yeah,
and then he
I
upped
didn't
his
know.
donation.
Is Tim the only one who can comment?
No, everyone else.
anybody
Okay.
can comment. Yeah.
That would
yeah,
be
what-
such a great tier. You're just like
The Tim tier?
$20 a month.
$20 a
You could
month.
be
You
Tim
can-
this month.
Who wants to be Tim?
It's like an official title.
You can comment.
It was
That's
good because
great.
I would not have known because I released the podcast, and what ended up happening was I left it on stereo, so it was a left ear and right ear, which is super annoying for podcasts.
Well, my
Yeah.
mom
And I
called me and
forgot.
was like, I can only hear Mike. And I was like, I don't know why. And I go, is your headphones like plugged all the way in? And
Do you
she's like,
smell
I only
almonds?
have one in. And I was like, oh, that's why. She was listening to it at work with one in, so she could only hear
Yeah,
you.
so she can only hear me. So the podcast was amazing.
It was
is what your
just-
mom's telling me.
Just in like you talking to yourself.
I used to have like a single headphone, like you'd plug it into like a Walkman or something, and it was for AM radio bands. It was like a mono stereo like earplug, and I'd listen to music in it and not understand what the difference between stereo and mono. So like for a long time, I thought Jimi Hendrix had no backing band; it was just a drummer and him. And I would just like walk around and be like, I don't understand what everybody's talking about. This is like, it's fine, but something is obviously missing.
I actually didn't know the difference between stereo and mono until like college. So that happened to me because I was
Yeah.
like, the Beatles released their stuff in stereo and mono, and I'm like, what's the difference? And stereo was annoying because I had the one earpiece. I'm like, why does it sound weird? Is that what stereo means? It just sounds weird. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Stereo, where I have to enjoy music for all of its warmth and nuance. That's the night. I grew up listening to punk, so I didn't know what nuance was. I was just like, it's screaming and fast.
I'm an almost 30-year-old man, and I still don't really recognize nuance anymore. I don't know if I have any. Lex, do you have anything you want to shout out? Like anything that you love recently that you've done, or?
Oh man, that's I
have a shout out. Actually.
I didn't. This is gonna sound real weird. I became friends with my wife's grandmother. She's a real difficult woman. Like
Okay.
we called. She lives near Burbank, and I called and was just like, "Hey, Grammy, do we need to like come get you or?" Like the blazes, are they coming close? And she's like, "You should just let the fire take me." And I was like, I mean, we could, but obviously, I was calling to make sure we didn't need to. You know,
Yeah, I
like,
figured I'd check first.
we went to have Thanksgiving dinner with her, and within 5 minutes, we were like, "How are you doing today?" And she's like, "Well, I wish I was spending the holiday with family." And I was just like, "We don't have to be here." But like, but also like the last year, both of my grandmothers passed away, and like I've been spending a bunch of time with her recently, just trying to be like, because she's a bitch because she's lonely.
Yeah.
And
Right.
Dorothy, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry I called you a bitch, but
She's
you
a big
are,
listener.
and you're working on it. But
You got it.
but she
You never
is.
stop changing.
She's like really genuinely working on it, and the last couple of times we've hung out, like she's dropped all of her guards and just been like a genuine joy to hang out with.
Oh, that's
and I like
awesome.
That's
helped put
awesome.
up some of her animatronic Christmas crap and things, and it was the most fun.
That
and
sounds
like,
amazing.
yeah, I work alone at home, so I don't get a lot of human contact.
That just make me really excited. I'm home alone a lot.
yeah,
also, so.
dude, imagine getting to hang out with an old woman who desperately wants to talk.
You want to hang out
I did
with
a whole,
you know,
his
I
wife's
did a whole
grandmother?
documentary series about it.
I mean, that's
Yeah, it's
But
great.
no,
Old people are what's up.
And it's like, and she's so different than every other person I meet in Los Angeles. So it's kind of nice just sometimes.
That's
yeah.
a great lexical embrace. That's right up there with.
That's really
So yeah,
Diane
shout
Lane.
out to Dorothy. You're the light of my life right now.
Dorothy, you're great.
You're great. Dorothy never changed. Oh, the one I had is we went to Zoo Lights last night, and it was
What's
really
that?
fun.
The
It's-
LA Zoo lights.
It's where the LA Zoo, they light up all the trees and stuff. They put Christmas lights everywhere.
Oh, sounds great.
Yeah, and they had a thing called the Twinkle Tunnel.
The
I
Twinkle
almost said it
Tunnel.
wrong. I called it Glimmer Tunnel the first time.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Then I called it Tinkle Tunnel.
Tinkle Tower.
Those are both
eventually.
Tinkle Tower.
Those are both fetish clubs.
That's what. So then we decided that Twinkle Tunnel is a good name for vaginas during the holidays. That's a good. You're gonna get in that
the
Twinkle
twink tunnel's
Tunnel.
just a butthole.
Yeah, that's true.
I had a really good time, and I mean, they were actually opened up the whatchamacallit, like the reptile and amphibian area.
Oh, yeah?
So you could walk through there at night, and they were kind of more awake. Well, not the snakes. The snakes were asleep, but
Like you're doing this motion, like you're
It's
got an
like-
evil plan.
you know what
you're
happens?
massaging all the.
sinister.
yeah,
your hand
I was
motions.
typing with one. I was typing with one hand, and then it just kind of kept going on its way out.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but I had a really good time. So Zoo Lights, check it
That
out.
sounds great. There's like a section that's called poinsettia snakes. All right, sorry. I'll jump off a building. That's my inner dad was like kicking it. That's,
No, we love
I don't have a
No,
biological
we-
clock for babies, but I do have one for dad jokes.
Dad jokes.
half of this podcast is dad jokes, so dad joke away. Just keep on dadding
We
on.
love dad jokes.
You ready to introduce the next segment, Monica?
I am. Hey guys, good news.
This is a part of the podcast where I tell people good news stories. John, are you into it? Here
Hell
we
yeah.
go. First one. It's about rich people, but I thought it was interesting.
Oh.
George Clooney gifted $1 million to each of his 14 friends to thank them for helping him when he moved to Los Angeles. So,
Oh, the one. So when he did
'cause
move a long time ago.
you know how you have that friend when you live here that's like, I'm gonna take all you guys with me when I get famous. You people talk like that. George Clooney actually did it, because he would sleep on their couch,
Oh, I see.
and then
So when he first moved here, people that
Yeah.
helped him out.
helped
He's
him out,
repaying.
and they called it some kind
I
of.
bet you they were all like, "What took you fucking long enough?"
I mean, I feel like if you're in the orbit of George Clooney, like that just rises all tides.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're probably already
Like-
getting some, but then $1 million. Jeez.
$1 million, and also this was the big part too. He didn't want taxes to get taken out of it, so he just paid everyone's taxes.
That was. Oh no, that was. I read the story. It was like he gave everybody it was like a dinner, and everyone's like sitting around, and he told everyone how important they were. And if I was friends with George Clooney, I'd be like, "Oh, this motherfucker has cancer!" Like immediately. I'd be like, "I'm the first one to know." I'd be
He's
texting
gonna
TMZ.
die.
Like
Yeah.
I wouldn't get paid. I would leak it immediately.
Already, he's like,
And then he had like
Johnson was-
leather suitcases
Yeah,
with like fucking like $1 million in cash.
it was $1 million
with the
in $20
taxes
bills.
covered
for 14 different people.
for
Yeah.
14 friends.
Holy crap! That's just George. If you need a couch to sleep on,
Yeah, George, we got you. You can come out and hang out in the pan. You know.
yeah.
And then this story just happens to leak after everyone's like, "Hey, George Clooney, why didn't you say anything about your friend Harvey?" And he's
Yeah.
like, "Did you know I helped 14 of my friends? I started 14 failed record labels."
Yeah, that's why it was like. That's why I felt like kind of weird. But I'm like this. I just feel like it's nice hearing about the story of people actually helping each other, like when they say they're going to. Because so many of our.
Yes.
I'm a black cloud who's like, "But let me explain why it's actually a bad story."
Right. It's okay.
Welcome to the podcast.
It happens a lot. Yeah.
All right, this one is 100% a good story. Kansas had its first pit bull police dog, and he just made his first drug bust.
Ooh. I didn't
Wait.
know. All right.
What is your definition of a good story?
Because what? Okay,
Like, because
the reason is because
the dog got out of cop jail or cop life, or
Yeah, he's a
he
cop
ruined
now.
someone's life.
No, he ruined someone's life, but he was going to be put down. There's an organization called Canine, Universal Canine,
He saved his life so he could ruin someone
and
else's.
it takes pit bulls. And it turns. Oh, listen up. Okay, the uplifting news story section of Reddit is pretty hard to find good stuff on.
It sounds like the plot of like an 80s cop movie. Just like, it was a dog who couldn't be rehabilitated. We took him off the streets and now he fights crime.
He's the Judge Dredd of dogs. Is what you're telling me? Which I'm totally fine with. I would
He
watch
is the
that movie.
paw. All right. Someone stab me.
What they do is if a dog is going to be put down, they adopt the dog, and then they train it for police work. And this dog is just like a sniffing dog. That's what it's
Nice.
trained for. So, because everyone thinks pit bulls are vicious, but actually they're like not good for like the German Shepherd-esque role of police dogs, like taking down people. They're good for like their noses.
Oh.
Man.
So, yeah.
I just found out this week that old like cop dogs that are trained in states where weed has been legalized are getting retired because they can't be trained to stop noticing pot.
Yeah, they always know.
So they're like losing their jobs because they can't learn new tricks.
Oh,
And it's so sad. There's just like a bunch of
You're like,
chill
no,
ass.
only cocaine.
What do you do? Do you become a service animal?
probably.
That bites people if they have weed.
Yeah, just do you stay like a haunted?
Well, like a sober person service animal, probably.
Just
Like a 100% sober person.
Nah.
jaded
like-
German Shepherd waiting out a pension.
The German Shepherd works like rock concerts and sporting events because that's when it can get its pension better.
He's just doing paperwork now. Like,
I just picture a dog behind a desk and how adorable that would be.
glasses on. Or something.
I was a good boy. Then they put me to kennel 3 years before I got my chip.
I was a good
I'm
boy.
just such a good boy.
I was a good
Almost got my gold collar. Oh,
I want a show that's just like The Wire, but all the cops are dogs. That's what I'm telling you.
I just want to reshoot The Wire with dogs.
with no dialogue.
Like those Weimaraner calendars that are just like Red Riding Hood.
Right, yes, where they're all.
I love it. This is getting goofy already. I'm
Think-
enjoying this.
I think
It
it's
is really.
good.
So, can I tell you something about good news stories, though? There is no such thing as a good news story on the good news story separate because it's always based on something bad happening first.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's really difficult.
Yeah.
But that's what we're doing. We're able to spin stuff.
I feel like there's got to be something happy.
Oh, there. I mean,
There's always something happy.
there's the one happy where this recently a lady got like stuck without gas. She had no money to fill her tank, and then this homeless guy gave her. The phrasing was poor, and and then oh hello angry kitty. A homeless guy gave her his last $20.
Oh,
You saw
yeah.
that, and then he like ended up getting a GoFundMe, and now he has a house and all sorts of crazy
She
shit.
raised him like 30 grand or some shit.
Oh, it was $300,000.
What?
$397,000.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm. It's nuts.
And then we found out the kid was bullied, and everybody got on his side. And then we found out the kid might be racist, and everyone's like, "Fuck
And
it."
it turns out the homeless guy actually murdered like 4 other drifters. So
Still,
For other drifters.
it's like the end of the year, and there's this. I hate quoting a tweet, but like the only way I can sum up 2017 was this tweet I saw. It was like, the internet has fallen in love with Milkshake Duck. 5 minutes later, turns out Milkshake Duck is racist. It's just like, oh
great.
no, we can't enjoy the duck that drinks
Can't enjoy
milkshakes.
anything.
Like, that's how I feel about this entire fucking.
Just every time we read a good news story, we're like, they're probably racist. I don't
Yeah,
know.
they're just like, oh, cool, this beat up kid gets to go see the Avengers. Ah, no, he doesn't like Black Panther. Like,
Dude, I'm excited for we're hitting the positive spin point right now.
Hell yeah.
Wait,
Yeah.
Monica's got to close it out.
I'm sorry,
Oh.
I keep derailing this.
No,
That's
that's
okay.
okay.
That's what the whole thing is.
Hey guys, that was good news.
Perfect. We have the segments with the full intent of derailing. That's what we kind of do. So,
Sometimes it happens on accident. But
so yeah, that's true. So the positive spin segment, what we have to say is a good thing, okay? And it's usually perceived as a bad thing.
Okay.
And this time it is being raised in the church. Growing up in a church. Because I feel like a lot of comics, especially
Yeah.
comedians,
not
perceive
in a
it
church,
as a
but
bad
like going
thing.
to church.
But I think, and I'm like, you're the perfect person for this.
Man, I feel like a lot of people are fronting.
What do you mean fronting?
I think a lot of people are lying about how bad it was. Like,
I like this
yeah,
angle already.
I like
no,
where this
and let's,
is
I want to be
going.
clear. There are
My foot's asleep.
there are shitty things you have to deal with growing up in the church. I want to be 100% clear about that.
Looks like you're
But there's-
proposing to John.
There are also like shitty things. Actually, this just looks like the beginning choreography to Ragtime. But we're just like, oh, he's going to step
Which
off
is
a
how
boat.
you should be proposed to.
The I've like all the shitty things that I grew up with in church. Unless you're gay, I want to be 100% clear. I want to very much be clear about that. But like almost every shitty thing that a straight person deals with in church are the same shitty things that you deal with having like a mom or a dad. Like it's just like, oh no, I'm surrounded by adults who have things that are stupid, like believe things that are kind of dumb. Like it's most of the time church is just singing and you don't mean it. Like if you grew up like
Singing and you
I-
don't mean it.
I get the same feeling
Sing it
out of
like you
church
mean
as I
it.
do a Kiss concert. Like I don't necessarily know all the words, but I'll close my eyes and sing along with the crowd. Like
See, yeah, everybody else seems to be having a good time.
yeah, I think it's become very trendy to be like, oh, let me tell you how like comically
Yeah.
bad my youth group, and it's like youth groups suck. But like, yeah, it's not as bad as you're making it. Most of the time, it's not as bad as you're making it out to be.
So my parents pretty much gave up on my religious life when I was like 8 or 9, but I had family friends that were super
Did
religious.
you go to church before that?
We went. Yeah, we tried. My parents were really bad about it. They,
Yeah.
I think, because they didn't have their hearts in it, and they were they thought they had to. I think, and then they were kind of just like, well, they've started watching football, so we'll just let them do that. And,
Yeah.
So, but I remember going to my friends, like my family friends that lived in a town away from me, and like in Alaska also, and they would go to like a youth group, and I loved it. Like I loved being like, oh, this is your friend group. You just have a friend group like right now. Like I get it.
Except for the 40 minutes the pastor's talking. It's fun.
Yeah.
Like you get to listen to some shitty
it
marketing.
always seemed
and-
like you guys were just hanging out with like
Yeah.
other kids.
Yeah.
Right? It was like,
That's right. My girlfriend actually, she was in a youth group that wasn't religious, which I thought was kind of interesting. They would just talk about.
she went to a rec center.
Yeah,
Right, yeah.
Boys and Girls Club. No, she told me it was like a youth group that was like they would talk about God, but there was no set like denomination they were worshiping.
okay.
It was like in high school, so they would say they would watch like the Simpsons episodes and talk about how religion, like kind of like that.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, stuff like that. So
That's I don't know. Like it's there's three kinds of youth groups, I guess, and like if you grew up very very fundamentalist, and like you didn't get to sing in church, and someone was sad, like if church was about being sad and hellfire, you know what? Tell me about your sad church upbringing. If you went to a place where like you had if there was an Xbox at your church, go to hell. Like, you know, like we're just like, oh, we're gonna go to church? Oh no, man, we're not going to church. We're going to the Fallout shelter. That's what we call it. It's like a bunker for souls. Like, there's that. There's all this shitty like marketing to make youth ministry like a rock concert. Like, it's boring, but I don't feel like it's as. I feel like people want to think that they're part of. I feel like a lot of people who went to church had good upbringings, and pretending that church was meaner than it was is a good way to get some like catharsis.
Or do you feel like they feel like they missed out on something? Maybe. Because I don't. Most people, unless it was like crazy brainwashing type of stuff, they don't seem like upset that they went to church. They just were like, oh, I wish I could have gone and hung out with you guys or whatever. I don't know.
But, like for cigarettes, church. First time making out with somebody, church. First woman was like, ow, stop that. That doesn't feel good. Church. Like, that's a lot of my like life
Seem to have
lessons.
learned a lot. Yeah.
That's like, if you went to church and didn't finger somebody, I'm like, did you really go to church?
I used to have a joke about church camp where like the only difference between people who went and who didn't was the location of your first hand job.
Yeah.
Like
I do think if I went to church more often, I would have lost my virginity sooner or had a sexual encounter sooner.
Man, that's
an interesting. I mean, church
That's
camp.
so
I feel like
funny.
because I didn't really go to church, but I went like with other friends or whatever, and we would go to church camp. Like that was.
I try to remember because I had like taken my girlfriend like 3 times to church, and then she was like
taking her. Like you.
I
was
had
like,
taken her. That's the real damage that came from church. Is I refer to making love as taking her,
which I hate.
and also my secondary is making love.
Were you super confused by
Take
Liam
me.
Neeson movies?
No, like I taken. This would be a bodice ripper. No, like I took my girlfriend like 3 times to church, and then she was like, "So we're gonna have sex now?" And I was like, "I guess that's
Yep.
how it works." I don't know. I feel like
That's
if
what
you
they
grow up in
say.
the church,
You never
it's
sleep
not-
with someone until after you go on your 3rd church.
Also, all
church?
right,
Third
and,
church.
like my dad is a pastor, and somebody on Twitter, I owe him $1 because I said I was gonna not say that on a podcast for a month. But someone was
Actually, it's
like,
funny because I was definitely going to ask you about that later. So
It's-
I'm glad you brought it up first.
Yeah.
someone on the pod, or Who's Your God, just like tweeted the other week. It's the first like close to criticism I've gotten. It was just like, I want $1 every time John Michael mentions he's a pastor's kid, and I'm like, most of our guests don't listen, so like it's a context
Right, you gotta tell
thing.
him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm also just like so soft about criticism that I'm just like, God damn it, how dare I? Like I feel like if you grow up in the church, especially, like I have some of my most wonderful memories are growing up in church, but also like I have to be aware that I grew up in a very cool church. I grew up with a dad who was like, when I was 10, took me to gay bars after I did community theater and would like let me sing show tunes and like and like guys would buy me Shirley Temples, and I was just like, that's what gay guys are. They're the ones who give you Shirley Temples when you sing On My Own.
Yeah.
I do a song from Cats. They give me a Shirley Temple. Gays are the best. You know, like
Let them
so-
do whatever they want. What are you guys upset about?
So I don't have like a normal church upbringing, despite the fact that I grew up Baptist. Like my dad's best friend in the ministry was the pastor of a gay church in Baltimore, D.C., or in Baltimore, Maryland. Like I grew up with my parents doing like AIDS outreach ministries, so like that was just something that the church did. So like I also have to remember that like my upbringing is not as damaging as a lot of people's church upbringing, but a lot of people are lying about like how bad potlucks are.
Dude, potlucks are great. I was actually going to say the ice cream social, one of my favorite things.
Love an ice cream
I
social.
love a good ice cream social.
I went to a Halloween party at a church once, and it was probably the most fun I ever had.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude. Oh, go ahead.
No.
There was still like costumes and candy and stuff. It wasn't like they were like, we're doing this so that you're not doing that. It was just like we were all in one place. Watched a movie.
The worst church I ever went to is a place where my dad got ran out for being too liberal, and then was immediately replaced by a guy who got rid of all of the hymnals and like only played modern praise and worship music, which was real weird. that was a church where a deacon gossiped against my dad for 5 years, and then we left, and that deacon got tongue cancer. And I'm not gonna say I believe in God necessarily. That's a God thing.
That's a something thing. That's amazing.
Yeah, like I
Wow.
had a couple years in like a really terrible church, and even I'm like most of growing up, and it's just you sing a lot, and then you talk to people, and then if you're an adult real young, you figure out this is probably horse crap, but
Yeah.
you learn socialization.
That is true.
You learn
Fingering.
basic harmony.
Sorry.
What did you say?
I said fingering.
You learn fingering.
Yeah.
That's kissing. You learn how to talk to people across different demographics and like groups in a way that I feel like that's one of the most important aspects of church that I kind of hate in the modern changes in the church is like pushing towards an ideal of what a Christian should be, as opposed to like a gathering of people in a community who all talk and you kind of like learn from one another. If it was more like that, I would still probably go to church. And then they'd be like, do you believe in God? I'd be like, I'm here for the cupcakes. Or the bagels. I like bagels.
Did you guys ever have the church auction?
Where you get to like buy a Mormon church or something? No, what's a church
What do you
auction?
mean? Are you buying people?
I remember when I was a kid. I remember my church would have like
You did go to
auctions.
my church.
I had like auctions for this like weird items that people would put up to like get money to the church, and that's how I got 2 Nintendo Entertainment Systems that way.
Why
So I
did you
have-
need 2 Nintendo?
Well, the first one broke because it was from an auction.
Okay, got it.
They're like, who wants this broken?
Yeah.
Yes,
I was
got
like,
it.
you were just a metaphor for the church. Hi, it's me, a kid with 2 Nintendos.
Yeah, exactly.
What's that poor kid with no Nintendos?
It was Alaska. It was nothing was okay.
Nothing was okay.
It was Alaska and nothing was okay. Sounds like a very,
That's how his
very...
memoir starts.
Hemingway's lesser known book.
It was Alaska and nothing was okay.
Yeah, I did you ever do so? What kind of churches do you think like you went to? Because I went to one really weird one, and I wonder what you would think about it. And this is selfish reasons.
What do you mean weird?
Like, were they all the same, like conventional, like format, like pastor, like just singing songs, all that stuff, or like what?
Okay, so like I'm kind of weird in that the trajectory of my dad's pastoral career is sort of like that of a really good band that pops in the middle. So like my childhood, I grew up in Maryland, and my dad was the pastor of a very, very like a small church, probably 200-300 people. And the total congregation, probably like 100 people every Sunday, maybe more or less, but you're a kid, you don't really understand size. And he's the pastor, and my mom plays the organ, and there's like a choir, and there's Sunday school, and there's all that. And that's my idea of what a church is. And then we moved to the South, and he becomes the pastor of a mega church that had 2,000 people like on the rolls, and like was televised and like aired in the surrounding states.
Whoa.
And like I smoked a cigarette on the streets of downtown Chattanooga in 9th grade, and when I got home, my dad sat me down and just said, "So why were you smoking outside of the Sticky Fingers today?" And I was just like, "What the fuck? How did you find out about that?" And he was
Did
like,
you say
"The
fuck?"
pastor has eyes everywhere." Like,
He's like, God told me.
yeah, so like that was new. That was weird because like my dad was well known enough that someone saw that and was like, the minister's son is sinning. But also that same place, that was a crazy church where a deacon came in a month after my dad moved there, handed him a blank check and said, "My pastor doesn't drive a minivan."
Whoa.
And my dad was like, your pastor is also not bought. Like, kind of gave him the check. He gave his pastor's parking spot to a handicapped woman who named Ginger, who's still one of the greatest human beings I've ever met. She had it was a bone problem. She was a little girl, and she's like 3 feet tall and has leg braces, and she taught kindergarten. And when people would be like, Ginger, why do you want to work with kindergarten? She's just like, I like people I can see eye to eye with. Great woman. Amazing woman.
That's hilarious.
He gave her his parking space so she wouldn't have to cross the street, and they had a deacons meeting over whether he could do that. Whether the pastor could help someone who is working in ministry with children not have to cross the street.
That's crazy.
So there, like, that aspect of the church is weird. And then he did that for a couple of years, and then eventually they were sick of him saying crazy things like, hey, gay people are people, and we should minister to everybody, and he left. And then he didn't preach for a couple of years. He became a used car salesman, because it's very similar skill sets. And then he became a consultant for some medical nonprofits for a couple of years, and then he found this amazing church about 10 years ago. It's like 60 people. It's 40 minutes out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. Has it's multiracial. He has lesbian couples in his congregation in this really small town, right outside of Tennessee, or right outside of Chattanooga. Like probably 300-400 people in the town itself.
Wow.
And like the pinnacle of like small rural southern town, but it's the coolest, most like forward-thinking church you could imagine.
That's so awesome.
So like he started real small, blew up, had like his big like arena moment, and then now he's playing cool intimate venues with the people, like, you know, he's in the shit again.
I like that. I like that a lot.
It is a good story. It sounds like a comic, really.
He also just told me that he doesn't necessarily believe Jesus needed to die anymore. Where he's like, crucifixion didn't necessarily need to happen. I can explain it. And I'm just like, you do understand that if I had said that to you when I was 15, you would have told me I was committing heresy. Like,
I did love the episode with your dad.
Oh, yeah?
And Who's Your God?
Did you like it?
I loved it. And I loved it because your dad would say something and then Steve would be like, what?
I love
lose his mind.
It's fun to listen to, just to listen. I want to have my ringtone just be Steve going, you can't believe that. I'm not even sure you're a Christian.
It's hilarious.
Again, like, I'm going to keep playing it. You got to listen to Who's Your God. It's so amazing. And Amy Miller is on this podcast a while back. And,
Yes.
yeah.
Former
And I want to have
guest.
Steve on, too. So here's the thing about the church experience I had.
Yeah.
This is the last thing I had, like, as a kid for, like, a church formative year. I went to a place in Eagle River, Alaska with my brother's friend.
What's the population of this city, by the way?
Eagle River? Now it's probably like 20,000, 30,000. It's gotten bigger.
What was it at the time?
Probably like 10,000.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's a suburb of Anchorage, essentially.
Okay.
And I go to this place, and it's just like they just tell me it's an arcade. They told me it was an arcade, and I walk in, and they're like, "Hey, Mike, it's an arcade, and all the games are free." And I was like, "Oh my god, here we go!" And I was playing games. So you know about this. And then they just unplugged the machines. They just all shut off. And they're like, all right, everyone, let's sit down and talk about God. And they just threw it on me. Like, I had no idea what was happening.
They didn't even like a band start playing?
Nope.
That's where they fucked up.
They just shut off the machines and everyone sat down in this like weird, clearly an old rock venue.
Yeah.
Like it felt like an old, then I look back on it, I'm like,
was it a vineyard?
It is so scary.
It
Was
was
it a vineyard?
Or did it have a name like...
Does that like happen often?
Well, vineyard. There's the vineyard ministry, but there's a bunch of these like small upstart churches where their whole shtick is they're like, we're not like normal church. And they are. They're normal church. They just have like an Xbox and usually a band.
Yeah, it was, and this is the biggest mistake I think I made for the whole night.
It's like when your friend in college is like, come on, man, this show's really important. We just need like 30 people there. And then you get there and you're there for 4 hours and it's the worst. There are people who do that every Sunday worshiping God.
Dude, that's what it was. So there was a point where they're like, hey, if you're willing to accept Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, step up here. And I was trying to look super cool. And I'm like, the only way to be cool is to go with God. And I like stood up and
only
went up
way to
there.
be cool
and
is to go
and
with
I was
God.
like, and I did it. And I felt like super dirty afterward because I knew that it wasn't real, and I just didn't mean anything. I felt so gross. I remember that feeling.
I remember that when I was a kid and was going to church with other people, and they'd be like, "Okay, now you just have to accept Jesus in your heart," and I'd be like, "Am I doing it right?" Like I felt so confused because I was like, "I think I'm doing this wrong."
Yeah. Other than a wedding, that was probably the last church I went to. I think, other than a wedding, and I was probably 10 or 12. Around there.
You missed the real sauce. 10 or 12, you're not getting.
So like the teenage years when it's...
Yeah. For me, honestly, like
See, I didn't get there either.
Because like Sunday school sucks. It's always so bad, and no one who. Sunday school is the most selfless thing that you can do as an adult because you are almost always convinced by the church to do it. So especially if you're teaching, if you're teaching first through 7th grade and you also don't teach school, you are doing a true labor of ministry because no one fucking wants to deal with those kids.
Yeah.
Youth group is the show. That's where you get to have fun and you can be in a band.
Yeah.
And you can talk to people who sort of have brains.
I just remember going to those youth groups with my friends when I was a teenager and enjoying it because we didn't go to church. We were like separated off from the adults, and I'm like, this is so much better.
Our spot, man.
It was rad.
Yeah, my favorite thing, there's no way I could recreate it anymore because I have cynicism and drugs. But I liked going to revivals, and then at the end, like they would have this big sermon, and it's basically just it's willful psychological manipulation where you start off happy. And you build up you sing these beautiful, loud praise songs, and you're surrounded by music. And music is its own form of magic. I genuinely believe that music is a way of channeling people's energy into a way to, if Trump had singing at his rallies, his people would be even scarier.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they would be so pliable. And you'd be built up, and then they would terrify you with a sermon. And then you'd sing another song, but it's a song that's like a rock ballad designed to make you cry, and then you would have this emotional manipulation where they'd be like, all right, who's ready to accept Jesus? And then the 30 kids who genuinely are going to have their lives changed, weeping, walk to the front of the stage, and that guy has a quota to meet. So round 2 comes up, and he's like, I know there's people out there who want to accept God, but they got pride.
Yeah.
They have pride in their hearts. And if they could just let go of that pride, they would know eternal love. They would know satisfaction. They would know peace. They would know peace that you could never... And more kids weeping come out.
They're like, that
and
sounds
then
good.
3 comes up, and it's just I know there's people, there's hearts, their hearts are hard. Right in this room, there's a teenage girl who doesn't feel pretty. It's
really going for the jugular at this point.
It's like the Ghost Whisperer guys who are just did anyone have any unresolved feelings with their grandmother? Because she's here. It's the same shit.
There's 60 people that are like, I have a grandmother. I don't know.
Yeah, but man, have you ever hugged 20 people who are crying? It feels amazing. Cry and sing and know that your soul is saved.
You saying that made me feel so uncomfortable just then.
Oh, it's so
sounds
great.
Horrible. Why would you?
And then if you're in a real bad situation, you just pass to wash your feet afterwards. And that's something I'm uncomfortable with.
Yeah, that sounds weird.
So I feel like we got to move on to top 5 probably.
Definitely.
Right?
Sorry.
But
okay.
I just remembered the surprise topic I was supposed to have for John because we did this one, which was another thing, but there's another surprise topic. So we have to have John back on again, and I'll tell you what it is.
Okay.
And I feel like I shouldn't tell you what it is.
I feel like if we're going to have him back, then we can't.
Yeah, we got to
right.
tease it. But now I wrote it
JMD
down,
part 2.
so now I'm going to
I'm excited.
Okay.
Also, your
Okay.
cat added a bookmark to my computer just now.
I told you he was going to walk across
Gotta
it.
get very specific.
This bookmark right here. Oh, I didn't notice it. Good job.
You're going to go to that, and the FBI is immediately going to flag your
You know
computer.
what's funny?
It's like, fuck you.
I'm going to remove that
That's
cyberlink.
amazing.
It's great because he's not even relaxed right now. He looks like he's about to pounce.
Yeah. Okay, so we're going to do this is called the top 5 turnaround, and you and I are on a team, and I'm going to let Monica explain it real quick.
Okay, so I picked the top 5 worst of something, and you guys are gonna each one you'll tell us why it was a good thing. Okay, so this one is the top 5 worst things for Christian teens, that they're going through. I found this on a site that's for youth pastors to kind of talk to each other about.
And we explain why it's not a bad thing.
Right. So these are the things that Christian teens are having trouble with. You're gonna say why it's not a bad thing. Okay, number 1.
Here we go.
Sexual purity pressures. That's what they're struggling with. Temptations.
Like a purity to the pressure to stay pure.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to go?
Precious Savior, you got something?
Oh yeah.
Okay, you go. Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Here's the thing that's like wonderful about the pressure to stay sexually pure. I wanted sex to have meaning more than any of my peers did. And also because of that, I wasn't going to throw it away on like bad experiences. So there were times where I definitely could have gotten laid, but like I was too drunk or the person was too drunk. I want to be 100% clear. Sexual purity did not mean I wasn't going to party.
Still drunk.
But no, like that was something that like I had a seriousness about my sexuality growing up that I don't feel like a lot of my peers necessarily had. And like later in life, it made me, I feel more giving as a lover. It made me more aware of like how the people I slept with, like, were they having a good time? Because like I wanted to make sure if I was going to go to hell, everybody was getting something out of it. And I think that there are definitely kids who don't like necessarily have that stance on sexual purity.
Yeah.
But like it does definitely make you consider sexuality in a way that a lot of your peers necessarily don't. And for some people that makes them kill themselves. For me, it made me like better in bed. So thanks for the purity ring.
That's great.
Dude, you just crushed it. Like I was gonna say something stupid as like, well, you wouldn't have an STD. That's
fuck, I'm
good
supposed to be
too.
funny. Shit.
No, that's fine.
that was great.
No, that's great. That's what we want.
It was still funny.
Yeah, and it was funny.
I mean, STDs is good too.
And being sexually pure doesn't mean you can't party is a gem of a quote.
That's also like I feel like to a certain degree, think about like this is gonna sound real out there. Okay,
okay.
Think of like every Christian kid that you hear who talks about is like, oh, you're Christian, you can do anal. Do you know how much trust and relaxation is required to do, especially as a fucking teenager? Do you know how much foreplay is required to have anal sex without everyone being hurt, including the penetration? It is a complicated act. Sexual purity is the sort of thing where kids are like, all right, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it right, and no one's gonna be. So I mean, like at bare minimum, you're learning consideration real soon.
That's good.
I think these are
No
great
one's
points.
waddling around at youth group.
That's amazing.
You hit like 4 home runs in the first topic.
Oh, fuck. All right. That was good. Are we ready for number 2?
Number 2.
Okay. Living in an anti-Christian culture. Christian teens struggling with living in an anti-Christian
I
culture.
think any culture is good culture, even if it's anti. Like you're getting other viewpoints, which is still good, and it can help reaffirm your own if you don't like something.
I think it requires it. For the kids who get out, I think living in an anti-Christian culture gives them. You start to have more of a back and forth about the things that are around you, and I think you start to have, like, I feel like if you look at it like you live in an anti-Christian culture, you're going to leave the church 100%, because eventually you realize you're not under attack. But also when you're, because like a lot of Christians stay there because you're like, you want to be in the shit, man, and you find out you're not. But I think like growing up in it, it's good because you're like, oh man, this is an example of anti-Christian culture. And then one day you're like, oh no, that's just an example of other people having culture. I was just like, I don't celebrate Toyotathon, but that doesn't mean other people can't. You know? Like,
Note compared to Toyotathon.
Oh, that's amazing.
you know about Ford Boy?
Getting and learning about other cultures. All right, number 3, divorce and family issues. So you're a Christian teen, but you're seeing all these things. You're seeing divorce and whatnot, and you got to try and still be
I think it's
traditional.
a good warning to let people know, like, hey, you got to be really serious. You got to love the person you love. It's kind of I guess warning is kind of a darker way to say it. But, like, it makes you be sure, I guess. I don't know. Words aren't finding me right now.
No. So say it one more time.
Divorce and family issues. So
Divorce and family. So like growing up in a Christian, like the worst things for like Christian teens especially, I think divorce is like a really strong issue because we're taught that like marriage is forever and that this is a commitment that you're making to God. And for a lot of teens, the first time that they see their parents like step away from a commitment to God and be like, all right, this is God and promise to God is a promise to God. But also, I don't like your dad no more. I think it's like it sucks and it's very painful, but it also is like a really good time where like you're forced to learn nuance in a way that like believing in your sky God doesn't teach you. You know, like you're not taught that there are compromises when it comes to what God teaches, but eventually if you have an honest parent, they're gonna be like, look, this is a bad situation and God doesn't want us to be in a situation where both of us are unhappy because it's possible for us to live truly spiritually meaningful lives or live a good example for you if we do this. And it's important to understand that God loves us and that there's nuance to that. Or you could be a shitty parent who stays together for the kid and ends up creating a ska band or something.
I think we all know that ska band is the worst possible outcome.
I still love ska.
I love ska too.
I'm just not allowed to mention on my own podcast anymore, so I just
you know
work
what?
it
This
everything
is
else.
Dude, get
this
it
is a
all out.
ska
Yeah,
love
that's it.
zone. You know, do whatever you want to say.
Oh, goodness.
Next
see.
one.
Good for negative media influences.
Oh man,
like
that's
watching dirty shows and television and stuff like that.
It's the devil's in it. I mean, I feel like that's probably for any teen, but
yeah. It's interesting too because like youth groups are so designed to like talk about the media. Like they're like, remember the media is bad. All right, on Thursday we're gonna all go watch a movie together. I saw 10 Things I Hate About You with my youth group, and I still remember my youth pastor just going, "Oh my god!" like audibly out loud, just "Oh my god" when he said, "Does this chick have beer flavored nipples?" Like I wouldn't remember that line if it wasn't for watching our
that is,
minister.
yeah.
That's funny.
But like realizing that made me like, as a kid, I really genuinely was like, oh man, there's like dangerous art. Fuck yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
like dangerous
That's
art.
my dad. As a little kid, played me Patti Smith because he's real cool, and I was like, she's great. He was like, oh man, I saw her in the 70s, and it's the only show I've ever seen where all the men and the women wanted to sleep with the person on stage. And I was like, cool, what's that mean? And my dad looked at me, I'm like 10, and he's like, ah, shit. And I'm like, oh God, you broke character. Okay, like, you know. That's,
Fourth wall.
yeah, I think that's sort of great. I wouldn't have those moments if I wasn't also taught that that was ultimately a sinful thing.
Dangerous art. That was great. I like that.
Good.
Okay. 5, last one. Identity and self-image issues.
Oh man.
That's a hard one.
I mean, that's tough for any kid, but I think, I don't know, if you're in the church, are they telling you, like, this is what you're kind of supposed to be like? And then you're like, but I don't know.
That would be so hypocritical. So many people in the church, probably, right?
Oh man, if you
What do you mean?
That's that, and it's. I feel like a lot of the church plays on. The church can't let a teenager love themselves too much. Like I know that's a really. I know that sounds really mean, and like good
No,
churches
I
can't. Like
mean-
my dad, his church is great, and like that. That's not something they do. But like if you are a capitalist church that is looking at souls as numbers, like you can't have a youth group full of kids with good self-esteem because they don't need you. They're not searching for anything, and they know that everything is ahead of them. And like the church does a really bad job with body image issues. I was bulimic in high school, and like the church did not help that at all. To the point where when I talked about it with the youth pastor at one point, he was like, "You don't have that. You're a boy." And I was like, "Okay."
Oh,
Actually,
I
that
turned-
must not be what
I
it
turned
is.
that into a joke later where I was just like, I hid my eating disorder in high school the old-fashioned way by being a boy. So like I think
Thanks
that's
for
like
that.
one of those places where the church fucks up entirely. You're not taught to just love yourself. You're not taught that you're beautiful the way that like God created you, which is insane because if God fucking created you and cared enough to like spend the time to make Monica a thing, why the fuck wouldn't I be beautiful? You know? And the church doesn't. They drop the ball in a lot of ways by doing that. So there's nothing good about growing up in the church for your body image issues. Unless you have abs. They will, if you're like hot in a youth group, the hot kids always get moved. It's so 100%.
That's weird.
It's so fucking creepy. But also like it's marketing, you know? Like
yeah, that makes
they don't-
sex sells.
There are no self-esteem hires at an Abercrombie, and there are no. So you're either like homely but funny, or like great looking if
I
you're in
have
youth
noticed
ministry.
that, which is weird. Like the few times I went to church, like with friends or whatever, I was always very attracted to like the guy in the band or whatever, or like the pastor. They were always really good looking.
Yeah.
I don't know why, and so that must be. It's kind of like,
Yeah, it's marketing.
Yeah, that's
You come in, the quarterback walks over and is like, "Sup, Monica? Can I talk about your soul?"
about your soul.
Douche vibes.
Ooh, I hope not. But it was great. It was a good.
We nailed
good
it.
game.
Yeah. I have
Back-
too
does your
many
ba-
thoughts
does your
about
back-
No,
this.
that
does
was
your back
awesome. I
hurt from
loved it.
carrying me a little bit? Because now we're going to do a dumb internet quiz.
Hit me.
This is how we end.
This is the most.
podcast.
I love games and things I can riff on. So this is
Oh,
great.
that's
There you
good.
go.
Okay, so
You're
this
doing a
game,
great
this
job.
quiz is build a crazy hot chocolate, and we'll tell you which Game of Thrones man you should date. Do you watch Game of Thrones?
Yes.
All right,
Wait,
we're in it.
Do you
So-
like hot chocolate?
I love hot chocolate.
This is good. We picked a perfect quiz.
Do I have ingredients or do I just
it's
make
a
my own
multiple-
hot
it's a
chocolate?
multiple
yeah, it's
choice.
a multiple
Okay,
choice.
cool.
We'll
So
go
I'm
through
going to
with
do it
you.
for
He's
you.
gonna do it.
So
on
the first one is you got to pick a chocolate flavor for the hot chocolate itself, and your options are extra dark, dark and milk chocolate mixed, dark chocolate and white chocolate, or just white chocolate. What do you want to do?
Is the dark chocolate is it like cocoa or is it?
I think there's
like
the
dark chocolate.
Extra dark is cocoa. Dark chocolate is like Hershey's Dark Special Dark.
Got it. I would do the cocoa with like a half teaspoon of milk chocolate.
Ooh.
Just for like smoothness.
I'm gonna say extra dark then for you. That's about it, right? Or I guess no, dark and milk. It's perfect.
Because I like traditional cocoa, but I do like a little bit of the sweetness to cut the
Yeah,
That's
that makes
good.
sense.
the bitterness of it.
I think I would pick just straight up dark chocolate. I love dark chocolate. I'm
do you use
obsessed
water or milk?
with- I use milk
Oh,
if I
thank
can.
God.
Milk is way better.
I was gonna storm out
I
of this
was
fucking apartment.
warned. I was
You're like,
I
you
was-
live here.
I was raised with water, and then I went to a friend's house, and they did milk, and I'm like, why have
It
we
is
not
way
been doing
better. I
this
just
the
don't
whole
like
time?
Oh man, isn't it great when you realize like your parents betrayed you?
Oh god. Monica, which one did you choose?
Milk and white chocolate.
Milk chocolate. Ooh.
White
I like
chocolate.
a pretty sweet, and I love white chocolate.
Interesting.
White chocolate's
White
good.
chocolate mocha is
White
like my
chocolate's
favorite
technically not
coffee
chocolate,
drink.
right? That's
Yeah.
what everyone says. That's like the dumb
No.
trivia.
Okay.
It's so sweet. I can't. I'm also not a big fan of like sweet stuff.
Oh,
I
yeah.
like sour, bitter, or spicy. Those are like my three.
Here comes the next question, and
Hey,
it gets
man.
fancy. Pick a frosting for the rim of the cup.
None.
Vanilla. Oh, none's not an option. You got to choose one. Vanilla, strawberry, orange, caramel, mint, or coconut.
Vanilla.
What, say it one more
Sorry.
time.
Vanilla, strawberry, orange, caramel, mint, or coconut.
What the fuck?
What we can
Sorry?
do is
I would
we can
literally-
just pick, we
I
can
would-
just pick one and then we can pretend it's none.
I would just wipe it off. I would get strawberry because it would be the prettiest.
No, that's a
You
good.
know what?
That's good.
That's a good rating. That's a good rating. I'm gonna do caramel.
That's. I'm such a curmudgeon.
I don't
want no
You're
frosting.
very picky about
Pick a
it.
topping for the frosting around the edge of your cup.
I want
Jesus.
brownie sprinkles.
Dark chocolate chips, crushed candy canes, meringues,
Wait, is
right?
this a second layer of frosting?
It goes on top of the frosting. This topping. I'm telling you, we're building a big ass
This
hot
is
chocolate
like
right
an
now.
intense hot chocolate.
Pretzels,
Frosting.
caramel
Never
popcorn,
even
milk
thought-
chocolate chips, white chocolate chips, chocolate covered marshmallows, mixed nuts, brownies, M&Ms, or peanut butter cups.
Jesus.
This is diabetes. Just
I
that's
was
what
like,
this is.
Yeah,
can I get an
this is
insulin
so
shot
sweet.
on mine?
Yeah.
I would get the marshmallows
Marshmallows.
because you can drop them in.
That's
Ooh,
good. Yeah.
point. Monica, what would you choose?
I'm gonna go with the Reese's peanut butter or peanut butter cups.
you
I am
stole
interested.
mine. Ooh, yeah, I'm gonna do brownie though.
How is it staying on?
I don't know. I mean, I'm not gonna let physics get
I
into this. I'm
like
just
would
going.
make this and then not drink it.
I'm going with my dream. Pick a whipped cream flavor: eggnog, maple, or vanilla. There's only 3 options.
Vanilla.
Vanilla.
I'm going vanilla as well. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm not choosing eggnog.
Maple.
Oh, hi, Brimley. I just leave.
I think I'm gonna choose
just hanging
maple
out?
just to switch
I like
it up.
how he just stares at stuff.
Oh, pick
Face
some,
right next
pick
to a
some
wall.
marshmallows, regular, homemade, or mini marshmallows.
What kind of homemade marshmallow?
It looks like kind of a
They're like
block.
square.
Oh
type.
yeah, block homemade.
Homemade block type.
Cut them into quarters.
Okay.
Ooh, yeah, they don't melt as
I like
fast.
how sure you were of that.
They-
That made me
I'm going
so
regular,
happy.
but-
Okay,
That's
I'm gonna
the-
go mini.
I go little. Like I don't have as much stuff in it, but the stuff I would want to put in there would be very thoughtfully put in.
All right, so now here's what we're gonna do. Now you got to
Jesus.
pick 2 toppings. The first round of toppings, the second round of toppings. Pick its first topping: chocolate covered oranges, bananas, chocolate covered strawberries, chocolate chip cookies,
Where are you
Oreos,
fitting
gingerbread
these-
cookies,
It's like
candy
those Bloody
canes.
Marys when they put like a whole
is.
fucking burger
That's
on
what
top
this
and shit.
is.
That's
It's
exactly
just-
what it is.
There's just a sword with Oompa Loompa heads.
I'm not done. I'm not done. S'mores, white chocolate
Sorry.
truffles, Milky Way, Reese's peanut butter cups, or none. You can choose none this
I
round.
feel like we're just reading a script from like a feeder porn.
Yeah.
I'm going bananas.
All right.
Get a
Yeah,
little fruit in
man,
there.
that's hard. That's There's what's the
Chocolate covered oranges, bananas, chocolate covered strawberries,
chocolate covered oranges? That's not even
Yeah.
a thing.
chocolate chip cookies,
I'll go
Oreos,
chocolate strawberries.
chocolate strawberries.
It's a good choice.
I'm gonna go. Now I'm gonna put Reese's on it because Monica stole it from me that one round.
Sorry.
Pick another topping.
I picked chocolate covered strawberries for this one.
Okay,
the
chocolate covered
same-
oranges, bananas, strawberries, it's the same things. Chocolate chip
Yeah.
cookies,
Chocolate
Oreos.
banana.
Chocolate banana. Go a little fruity. I like it.
I assume it's gonna fall off, and I'm just gonna have snacks.
You're like, these things separately would be great.
I was
so-
like, physics wise, what would
I think
fall
I'm
off?
gonna put chocolate chip cookies on it, knowing I'll pick them off and eat them on the side.
Okay.
God.
Oh my.
And then the last question. No, there's 2 more questions. Shit. Pick a sauce to drizzle all over it.
No.
Chocolate, honey, Nutella, caramel, strawberry, or fudge? This is so
I
intense.
picked caramel.
Yeah, I'll go with caramel, I guess.
And now I feel I
so
can't even
intense.
remember what's all in here, and I feel like it's not going to go
I'm
together
gonna
very
pick
well.
not.
chocolate. No, I'm gonna pick fudge. Fudge is good. Finally, choose something to eat with your hot cocoa. This is a side dish
Dude.
item. Cupcake.
You can't have sugar for the
cinnamon
rest
roll,
of the year.
Pecan pie, glazed donut, waffles, or pancakes.
I'm going to go with glazed donut.
Donuts are good. I love donuts.
I'm going to go with pecan pie.
Ooh, nice. Oh man, your answer just popped up. I'm gonna go with waffles.
My face shines.
I am so happy with what I got.
Did you get Tyrion?
I'm not gonna tell you. Monica, you want to go first?
Sure.
All right.
I got Jon Snow.
Ooh.
And the gif is like him breathing and his abs like flexing. It's been awesome.
Jon Snow would have abs after that hot chocolate.
I got Tormund Giantsbane, the guy behind the wall, the Hotels.com guy. I got that dude.
Nice.
And then John,
Who I got?
you also
Please don't
got
be a rapist.
You also got Jon Snow.
Yeah.
Please don't
I
be
just
a
banged my
rapist.
sister or my aunt.
It's
I
your
don't know.
aunt, yes, right? Yes, aunt.
So it is really. Who would you ideally want to choose in this situation?
Fuck, they're all bad people.
They are really bad people.
That's,
John's not probably the least bad.
I guess.
He's like
sort of a little
accidentally
whiny.
bad, I feel like. Not
Jon Snow's the sort of dude that like like,
We
you know,
broke
people
John.
have had kind of a rough upbringing, but also like things have been going good for a minute, so fucking chill. Like,
Yeah, okay, yeah, that makes total
where I'm
sense.
like, look, I totally get why you have night terrors sometimes, but also it's a fucking Thursday, you know? Like,
Woo! Let your
Mom.
hair down, John.
Oh, we
Yeah.
gotta do the charities now. We're at the end of it. This is the end where we say our favorite charities. So
Fabulous.
Monica, do you have one?
Well, yeah, it's not my favorite. It's just, one for this week.
yeah.
So it was interesting. I was scrolling through some charities, and this one was called the Forever Young Foundation. And I was like, I would really like to know what that is, because that sounds like it's for keeping your face looking cute. But it is Steve Young's charity, and it's all for like children's hospitals. So they put in like state-of-the-art labs. They do this thing called Sophie's Place, which provides music therapy for kids who are in the hospital and stuff like that. There's all this different stuff that they do, research, development, education for children's hospitals. It's called Forever Young, and it's foreveryoung.org.
that's awesome.
Nice.
Forever Young was actually the original name they pitched for the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Oh, really?
Because they all die really young. All right,
Yeah.
sorry. I was gonna go. My charity is because they're forever young.
I got it.
My charity is Lost and Found Youth. It is a charity in Atlanta, Georgia, that provides homes for homeless LGBT teenagers in the South who have been kicked out or need a place to stay when they turn 18. And it's an incredible charity. They help keep a lot of kids alive, and it gets much colder in the South than people ever really think about. So it helps keep them off the streets when things get frosty. Brimley also supports it.
She's just like, are you guys
was
done
great.
yet? That was
What
a great one. Thank you.
I'm
for
really happy.
sharing.
Thank you so much for being on the podcast, John.
Thank you guys so much for having me. This is an
and
absolute
we'll have
blast.
to do it again for the other surprise. 'cause
Please
I'm so
do.
excited. I'm going to tell Monica in the car.
Yeah.
It's just going to be like, what were the good things about Kennedy getting shot?
We did a really good job.
Monica, do you have anything you want to say to the listener before we go?
It was, oh yeah, I love you so much.
This has been a Potaholics Comedy Network presentation. Potaholics.com